Hello everybody, this is problem 1.4.1. I'm trying to put the whole thing sort of available on Canvas kind of as is in the PL2W system, but I'm liking this adaptation they've done for distance learning. So go ahead and take a look over here. I'm going to add these up into the problem 1.4.1 resources as soon as I'm able to. So what they've done for distance learners here is it's the same kind of idea of project, except they've got a slightly different problem for y'all. And that's good because you're not going to be able to have access necessarily to, I'm going to try to 3D print cupcakes and stuff. You're not going to be able to mess around with those, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult. And I think it also removes the need to have sort of a brainstorming interactive session, although I will put up a discussion board if you guys want. I'll put it up and see how it goes. Let me think about it, and I'll put it up this afternoon if I can. So workspace improvement is the problem that y'all are given as opposed to the suite improvement. Brief overview. For suite improvement, this bakery makes 3 types of things. They make these jumbo muffins, regular cupcakes, and little tarts, and they sell them like for events so that you can give everybody sort of an individually wrapped cupcake or an individual muffin or an individual pair of tarts or something. So they have, if you've ever been to a wedding where they give out a cupcake as a favor, then you have a little tiny box with a little cupcake inside of it. And their packaging stinks, and they want you to design something they can use to accommodate any of their baked goods in the same kind of package, so that they don't fall over, the customer can get things out, things stay fresh, they stay closed, they're sturdy, and they can ship them all nicely, they can pack them in nicely and ship them without having issues. If you're interested in that problem, absolutely check that out and think about it. There are tons of options and solutions out there. If you Google things like individually packaged cupcakes or something, you should find a bunch of different ideas. So if you want to work on that project, think about it. But I'm really leaning towards this other one because it applies to y'all right now. Your goals, again, you're going to use their design process, so develop models and simulations to address a need or solve a problem. 3D drawings, you can use 3D aided design software, you can document your design, etc. Independent thinking, self-direction, pursuit of accomplishing a goal, and communicate effectively with an audience based on characteristics of the intended audience. So for materials, you might have poster board, you may have scissors, you may have things like that at the house. There's additional prototype materials, like do you have tape, do you have glue, recycled cardboard maybe? Let me know if you honestly have nothing to prototype with, and I'll try to set a pack of like poster board or cardstock or something, and have y'all come get some at the school here. Your resources are linked here from the PL2W page. Again, I'm going to try to save everything in copies so it can be in Canvas as well. But your dilemma, disorganization dilemma. Transitioning from attending school face-to-face to attending away from class has a lot of challenges. You probably have experienced several of them by now, and my headgear is falling off. My crazy headgear is being crazy. Fancy that. Sorry. So one of your challenges when you're working from home, and I think I've sent this out already because I've had some parents asking me about it when their students have been quarantined and they're used to being here. One of the biggest challenges that you have working at the house, thank you, stop notifying me. One of the biggest challenges you have working at the house is your home. This is a place that it's set up for functioning like a house. You have places where you relax. You have places where you cook and eat dinner. You have places maybe where you entertain guests. You have places where you sleep and relax. You don't necessarily have already a place that is structured for an environment that's structured for learning. And you also, when you're there, you're not used to having to structure your time necessarily because rarely, at your age especially, rarely do you have things that are on a timeline that have to be done at the house. Your parents may have things they do every day. They may have projects they make time for and they schedule for. But at your age, you probably haven't got a lot of experience doing that for yourself. And so when you're at school, the environment is set up to learn. There are learning tools. There aren't as many distractions. You don't have your video game system. You don't have your big screen TVs or whatever. You don't have your family members walking in and out of your room while you're trying to focus. So it's very different. It's very, very different. And you have, of course, at school external schedules, and you have people who are checking up on you saying, hey, you're not working. Are you stuck? Do you have a question? Is there something going on? You know, things like that. So this is really a very valid project for y'all right now. So the challenge, it's how do you create a distance learning workspace for yourself that'll help you learn your best with minimal distractions. So look around your workspace. You might conclude that your organization is not the best it could be. And that's true for me all the time. I am not very organized. If you've been in my classroom, you've seen how disorganized my tables and things are. But if you've been in my house, you would see that it is the same there. I am super disorganized. Part of that is if I put things away, then I forget that they're there. And so, like, if I have a drawer full, I can have a drawer full of staplers and staples, but I'll look around my desk and I can't find a stapler, and I don't automatically think, oh, there's a place for that. So my disorganization comes from years and years of being bad at it. So you might put your engineering skills to good use to design some sort of organizational tool that'll make your workspace easier to work in. Maybe all your pencils and pens, like, you see those desktop organizers where they have little compartments in them. You put pencils in one, you put your pens in another. It's got a place for a ruler. You can organize your stuff. It's kind of what you do. So time is of the essence. The sooner you get this design made, the sooner you'll be able to more efficiently get to work. So as you design and develop this organizational tool, you'll be guided through the 4 phases of managing a project: initiate, plan, execute, and close. If necessary, review project management resource. So let's take a quick look here. Here's the sort of graphic of it. I don't know if it's easy to see. But my screen, this is a new computer, my screen looks kind of fuzzy and faded no matter what. And I can't move, I can move it back. So defining the project scope, you need to identify constraints, deadlines. You need to figure out your resources, set a budget, and develop a project charter, get it approved, and get the team leader, project manager, if you're in a team, to start off on it. And then in the planning phase, you kick off, you understand what's going on, you make some plans. You do design brief, you get stakeholders, communication plan, define and assign tasks. Again, group work stuff. Might not be doing a lot of that right now from home. Create a project schedule, execute. You got to identify what you need to do. Interdependencies, that means what's dependent on each other. What do I need to do first before I can do something else? Or what 2 things need to be done sort of simultaneously and work together with it? You determine your start and end dates, and then you carry out the work and you monitor and schedule. You monitor and update the schedule. And then at closure, you got to measure your results. You got to look back at your project charter. Did we do everything we said we needed to do? You finalize any documentation, you present your results to the stakeholders, and you reflect and say, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And again, that's in this resource on project management. It tells you about, it calls it the waterfall method. And it'll explain some more of it all in detail here. That was me going through it very briefly, but there's a whole lot of information here. And there's something called a Gantt chart, which I have not downloaded yet. Let me open this up in Excel and show you what the Gantt chart is. A Gantt chart, I think my screen is in my top right. Okay. A Gantt chart, it tells you what the tasks are. It has a whole list of tasks in design. So you can edit this on your own, probably in Google Sheets. And here's an example of one. It says what the task might be. Yes, tells you how much progress. You can say how much progress. You can fill this in, and it shows you how far you progressed. It's got start and end dates on these tasks. So let's say your first task is assigned to Joe. Joe needs to make a, make the design brief. Joe's in charge of that. How long should it take you? When do you start? When do you end? How far through are you? And then you can actually look. There's dates over here. I wish these things. This is just a template, so I can actually delete these if I want to. Let me delete, so we can see everything. Thank you. To hide comments. Oh. Deselect show all comments. Oh, these are all comments from a review, so I can go to review. Okay. In the review tab, if you do pick this up, let's see, show hide comments. There we go. So I can go and I can click on it, and I have to click on the outside edge of it and then hit that. Okay. And maybe I have to do it for every single one. Okay. So I had the comments. So yeah, whatever they define this task to be, task 1, put it in here. Who's responsible for it? You can show your progress. Now when I mouse over, it shows me the notes. And it should take from 1.1 to 1.4. So they've got this right here highlighted. So you kind of know when this has to happen. And presumably whatever task 1 is has to happen before the start of most of these other tasks. And you need to have it finished by, let's see when the end date is. It looks like they have the ending date of everything around February 6th of last year. So it's got just a template right here for you to fill in. Chances are you don't necessarily need all these tasks, but you've got the phases right here, design, documentation. You got more phases if you need them. And it's something that it's already just sort of built as a template for you. You can fill it in with whatever you need to fill it in with. And you can use it like for any project you have. Let's say you've got an English paper and you know what you have to do for an English paper. You know you're going to probably be doing a little bit of research. You know you've got to read your book if it's about a book report. You might have to make an outline. You might want to spend some time working on an introduction, finding out what your thesis is going to be. Like, what's my thesis? Okay. What's my introduction going to look like? What's my outline going to look like? All these parts, of a big project, like write a paper. Let's say you're writing a 5-page paper. I don't know how many pages there are on your all's papers these days at this age. Write a 10-page paper, write a 20-page paper. That's a lot of work. And just to have one big chunk, like I've got to write a paper, a lot of the time your teachers will automatically be helping you break this stuff down. And their task breakdowns look probably a little bit different, but you can always, any task you have that it's a complicated task, has more than one thing to do, you can go back and say, look, I'm going to treat it like a project. I'm going to say, I know it's going to take me 2 days to read this entire book, or it's going to take me 5 days to read the entire book, whatever your experiences with books. Like, it's going to require a little bit about knowing sort of how you work. For someone with ADHD, this might be an issue the first few times you try to do it. I know that for me it would be, because I don't honestly know sometimes how long a task will take. Sometimes I'll get started and it'll be a 15-minute task and I'm like, why have I been putting this off? And then other times I'll get started and I'm like, I can do this in 20 minutes. It's 4 hours later. It's still not finished. So, it's something that as you learn about how you learn and how you work, this is a good tool to sort of make estimates and then go back and check and see how you did and know, hey, you know what? This task 1 I said would take me from the 1st to the 4th. It's going to take me another 3 days. Full stop. So, hey, yeah, it's a great tool. It's a great resource. I'm really glad they have these templates for you so you can help your own learning. Do not save my changes. So initiate. Let's get started. I guess this is our kickoff meeting. Review the project charter. I've downloaded that. Project charter. Let's see. There it is. Project charter. Project name is called Workspace Improvement. Your project sponsors, I guess, would be your parents and guardians. Approval date is whenever it gets approved. Your start date is when you start on it. And project end date, well, I'm going to say that this project we can shoot for the end of the day on Friday, but I think that we're testing this week, let's shoot for sometime in January. I'll let you all know for sure when I look at my time. Should take a couple days, and if y'all are testing in other classes, it might not be a good time to say Friday. All right. Background and rationale. This is basically the stuff from the PDF. I'm going to put up this information up here. Oops, where is it? This stuff right here. If you look around, you conclude that you need to fix up your workspace. Yep. The objective is to enhance your distance learning workspace that'll improve your organization. You're going to develop and present a plan to limit distractions during online distance learning sessions. We don't really have sessions. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is right now. Your deliverables. You're going to have a completed design brief detailing applicable design criteria and constraints. So what are you constrained by? It's got to be made out of cardstock. Maybe that's all you got at the house. Maybe it's got to be something you can fold up instead of tape together because you don't have a lot of tape at the house. Maybe it's got to be a certain size because you only have so much desk space. You don't want it to be more than like 5 inches by 5 inches or something like that. Or maybe it needs to hold your blank paper. It needs to hold, so you might have something that's like a tray for paper with some boxes on top of it for holding your pencils, for holding, if you have maybe a mouse that's a Bluetooth mouse, you need to keep track of things you have to keep track of, go up in there. You can put in your notebook, or if you don't have a notebook, just make sure you keep track of your work somewhere. Detail all your design work, including any concept sketches for at least 3 possible solutions. we're going to do a CAD model of the design and complete a set of annotated working design drawings. So design drawings are things like we've done with the crank arm, the things we're supposed to do with the taper project, which I have to grade. If we are going to put a physical prototype together or a device footprint with mathematical analysis. So device footprint, the footprint of something is like the amount of actual space it takes up on the floor, like if you're looking straight down at it. The footprint of a couch, for example, would be like the width of the couch by the depth of the couch. That would be a footprint. And so when you're planning like to move furniture around, you might lay out like a strip of tape that's as wide as a couch and then another one that's as the depth of the couch. And you can say, okay, that's where the couch would be if we put it right here. That's the amount of space it would take up. It would be this far out and that far across. Okay. So yeah, that's what footprint is. If it's going to be something where you put it on your desk, like what's the footprint of a desk organizer? I have the footprint's about this big. It's got, a slot, like 3 slots in it or something around. You can put pencils in one, pens in one, rulers in another. I don't know. It's a simple one. There are others that are like, they have nice rectangular bases because they have a place for like sticky notes and a place for a stapler and scissors, a bunch of stuff to go up in there, and it keeps it all sort of in one location. So that's what the footprint is. And then an oral presentation. So I'd love for y'all to be able to sort of record a video. I've had 1 or 2 students do videos in the past of the project, like the launcher project, the start of all this. And that's really cool. I really appreciate being able to see you and hear you discuss and talk about what you've done and what choices you've made. And so I'd love to see that for y'all to, and also it says, with recommendations on limiting distractions. So your success criteria, you're going to implement a design that must increase the usable table area compared to the initial setup. So if you got stuff strewn out next to you, we got to decrease the amount of the footprint of all that stuff by making it smaller. You got to have something you can set up or dismantle in 10 seconds. You got to be stable and not tip over or move more than an inch with just a light push, and it should improve user satisfaction of the distance learning workspace. Again, if you need like cardboard, if you need foam, maybe foam. I don't know if foam would work. But let me know what you need. Let me know what you would like, and I can let you know if I can get that to you. Send me an email or something if you get to a point where you're like, I wish I had this or that material. And just get started. Get some ideas to me. Get some sketches to me. This week would be great for sketches and ideas. Maybe take a photograph as you're sitting at your workspace. Take a photo of your workspace and say, look, I have pencils and rulers and I have my papers and my textbooks set over here and I don't need all this stuff. Maybe there's some way I can create something that I can stand my textbooks up and put my pencils next to it, something to give more space so that when I need to use something, I have a place to put it. All right. I would show you my workspace. It's embarrassing. Just to give you an idea, I've got my phone, I've got like 2 drinks, I got a thing of wipes, I got my mask, I've got a putty net, my workspace is awful. It's got stuff everywhere. There's a tiny table in this area. So yeah, this is a great project. I'm all about it. I want to do this for myself. It's one thing to go to the store and find like one of those desk organizers and plop it down on your desk, put stuff in it, but like to make your own that actually functions with all the things you need to have accessible, but not in the way, that's really cool. So my hope is that you guys get something out of this for your own selves as well. What else is there? Yeah, that's definitely going to close that. One thing we're going to talk about as we initiate here, we talk about the project scope and objectives and constraints. Your constraints might be different from someone else's constraints, by the way. Like you might have a larger desk space, but more stuff, and they might have less stuff and a smaller, so it's going to differ from person to person. The thing that I want to get to here is we want to talk about metacognition real quick. I don't know how long this video is. I don't want to put it up again. Metacognition. This is something that is integral to being self-directed and self-motivated and get things done on your own. So completing any open-ended problem in a distance learning setting, it comes with a unique set of challenges and opportunities for growth. One opportunity is for you to begin thinking about how you think, which is metacognition. You ever heard that so meta? That's It's layers upon layers, thinking about thinking. So here's a metacognition resource, and you can journal to respond to at least 3 of the planning your learning prompts. So metacognition, let's talk about it real quick. So some people are really good at this, like instinctively. Some people, like, I was one of those kids in school where very little effort was put in, and yet I was still 96th, 97th, 98th percentile or higher. So for me, metacognition is one area where I sort of just like, I didn't do that. I didn't develop that a lot when I was going through school. My best friend going through school, she read very, very slowly. I don't know if she had a disability, but I know she read very slowly. So she had an assignment where she had to read 20 pages of something. She needed to know how much time she needed to plan out for that so she could start it soon enough to be finished before the deadline and do any other work associated with that reading. And so she had to develop a lot more strategies than I did growing up. And I think that served her very well. So metacognition is sort of how you understand and monitor your own thinking, how you approach learning. If you know how you approach learning, if you know how things happen for you, if you understand pitfalls you might come across, then you're better prepared to reflect, to change things if it doesn't work, and eventually succeed in whatever you're trying to do. You've got a quote from Pablo Picasso: "I've reached the moment where the movement of my thought interests me more than the thought itself." So I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm a math person and I like that. The first time you saw a two-step problem, you may have wondered what letters were doing in math. Yeah. Eventually you gain enough knowledge to solve for variables, and cognition is a process that you go from thinking, my teacher made a typo. Who actually thinks that? That's weird. I don't remember a time before knowing that variables existed. Maybe that's me being old. So yeah, meta means higher or beyond or in pursuit of. So you go above cognition. We're thinking about thinking. We are understanding. So 3 components: learner, your task, and your strategies. So your learner, here's some starter questions. Think about these things. How do you approach or think about learning personally? Like, what's your approach? If you have to learn something, you have to do something, what's your approach currently? And then think about the task at hand. What do you need to learn about? What do you need to do? What do you need to know to complete your task? And then some strategies. What are some different strategies that you might use to tackle your task? There is a cycle as you go through life and become a lifelong learner, if you aren't already. You plan what you're going to do. You monitor what's going on. You evaluate. It's very scientific method. It's very engineering design process. You're making a plan. You're seeing how it works as you execute your plan. You're evaluating. You're saying, what went wrong? How could it be better? It's iterative. It is super interesting because, it's what we're doing. Here's an example journal entry. Man, I don't want to look at that right now. So here's some prompts. These, I think, are what they were talking about that you should probably think about. And there's a whole list of them. I'm not going to read them all to you. So if you practice this regularly, you're going to be empowered. And that's really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make sure that you can go forward. If something weird happens, like a pandemic, are you going to be able to complete the tasks you need to complete during a pandemic? And not even just in school, but in your job. Let's say you're working a normal job in the future, and for some reason you got to work from home now. How do you work? How do you complete your tasks? What needs to change now that you're in a different environment? That sort of thing. It's super meta. Everything here is super meta because it applies so many ways. And there's a pretty picture of a chess piece with 3 paths to choose from. There's journal entry. Anyways, guys, I will download that. I'll put that up there. That's metacognition for you. And so then get a plan together. You're going to develop a design brief. There's a blank design brief here. If you remember, I think the ones I put up before have stuff all filled in, but your client is going to be, you. Same with your target consumer. The person who's using this is you. Your designer is you. What's your problem statement? Your problem statement is going to come from the problem that you were given up here in the course. It's going to come from there's stuff in my workspace and I need to get it cleared up so it's something I can access and use, yet it's not taking up space and causing me distractions. Your design statement. I'm going to design a organizational tool to use, and going on your criteria. Again, partly going to depend on what you've got available. Is it going to be, it's going to have to hold my stapler, it's going to have to hold my calculator, it's going to have to hold a stack of papers, it's going to have to help me organize my textbooks. Whatever you've got going on, those are your criteria, your constraints. It needs to fit on top of my desk, but I need to take up less space than everything currently takes up. Or, I need to make it out of cardboard so it's strong enough to hold everything. Whatever your constraints are, they go there. I need to have it done by a certain date. So fill out your design brief. And there we go. That's got more information about it. Identify your stakeholders. Who could be affected besides you? Think about your parents and the space that you're occupying during your homework and your schoolwork time. So brainstorming, get at least 3 solutions possibly. Get some quick concept sketches of things you could do. Go wild. Don't be limited by necessarily the materials you have, but keep them in mind. But let's say you want something cool, you want it to look like this or that, and then you're like, I don't have any cardboard around the house that I could use for this. That's when you say, hey, Miss Haynes, you got any cardboard I could have? And I'll probably say yes, because I've got empty boxes lying around. This is a discussion thing. I don't know if I'm going to put this up. I'm going to have to look into options for that. I will try to email everyone if I put a discussion up so that you can participate. And pick an idea. You could use a decision matrix and keep on going, get your work done. I could keep reading this stuff to you, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to create your design. If you have the materials, or if you need to get the materials, let me know. And go on forward from there. I think this is a really cool project. I like it more and more the more I read about it. So yeah, I'm excited. And I don't know if y'all are excited. I'm excited about a lot of things. But here's your checklist. I'm going to need the charter. I'm going to need the design brief. Project charter. Well, isn't that this thing? It's kind of approved. The only thing in the project charter that's not filled in yet is the start and end dates. Design brief, make that to your specifications. Justify your design development and define your project tasks. What are you going to have to do? Make your schedule, make your models, documentation, and here's your closure. So I'll probably make another video at some point once I have more structure for y'all, but get started thinking about this, get started making up what you're going to make up. Specifically following by making a design brief, decide, justify your decision, and get all this planning started the next couple days. We can always work on this after break some more, finish off after break, but I want y'all started on it. Okay, that hopefully is everything you need to get started. If you need something else, let me know. If you have questions, let me know. I'm going to try Zoom maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe both. I will email you when I'm open to Zoom. I would have gone in yesterday. I apologize, I did not. I had other things that I had to get done. Y'all have a great, wonderful rest of your day. This video is way too long. Holy moly. I'm going to have to do a short version of it for putting on the website. Bye, guys. Y'all take care.